punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the second half of the Situation Room on this 9th day of April 2024. Asante sana to people who are tuning in on Spice FM across the country, on KNUN across Africa, on YouTube and Facebook across the globe, and also on our digital radio platforms, Radio Garden and all the others. You will find the Situation Room wherever you are, anywhere on this planet. In fact, we also have plans to take you to Mars.
What?
The plan, tumepanga, tuko na mikakati, tuko na mpango. Ikifika mwezi wa 6, Situation Room itakuwa Mars.
There's no life on Mars.
So we'll take it there.
And start?
Yes.
That's the plan.
We are taking it there. Okay. So what's your plan? That's the plan we're talking about. Whatever plan you have, if your plan is in 6 months' time to go to Mars, if your plan is in 6 months' time to, improve on your education, to have something else that you're doing, if your plan is a 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 years, 60 years plan, whatever the plan you have, it's important to have a plan. There are people who actually think about planning, they're like, oh my God, plan is just, it's a completely complicated matter. How do I plan? Okay, how do I actualize my plan? ICEA Lion has been there for many years, and their experience in helping people come up with their plans. All right? There are very many products, and ICEA Lion is saying, come, talk to us. We'll sort you out. Whatever plan you have, we will help you. Talk to them, ICEA Lion. So plan.icealion.co.ke. That's the website to go to, plan.icealion.co.ke. Or you can follow them on social media, ICEA Lion KE, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook. They're saying, whatever your plan, come, let's talk. We'll help you, walk with you until you realize your plan. Sindio?
No matter where you are.
Yes. What's the plan for the nurses? Are they joining this doctor strike or not? That's what we want to ask the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Nurses, Seth Panyako, who's our guest. Good morning, Seth.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation again.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here. What's the plan? Strike or no?
No strike.
No strike?
Yes.
Okay, you'll tell us more about that shortly. But first, let me welcome you with the day's proverb. Siti is not in today, but he told me, Seth akikuja, salimia yeye sana.
Asante.
Mpokea salamu?
Mpokea salamu.
He also told me, Seth akikuja, mpatie proverb, na mwambie the proverbs for this week are from the Kingdom of Morocco. Have you been to Morocco?
Yeah, I've been to Morocco.
Which parts of Morocco?
I don't remember, but we went there for a meeting to do with migrant workers. Yeah.
Right. Okay. The proverb this week from Morocco, and today's proverb is, show him again. If he doesn't learn, just leave him. Show him again. If he doesn't learn, just leave him. What's your interpretation of this proverb?
I think it's a straightforward proverb. You cannot force people to agree with you or to do things the way you want. Tell them the right way. This is how it's supposed to be done. If they don't want to follow that direction, leave them. Just like children, you bring them up the way you want. And if they grow up and do their own things, you have little to do as a parent. You have to do what you think is the correct thing to be done. Yep.
So is the message here to the person being shown or to the person showing?
To both.
To both.
They have the responsibility. The one giving information must ensure that that's the correct information.
Yep.
And the one receiving the information has the responsibility either to take that information, use it correctly, or despise it, leave it and move away and do his own things. Yeah.
So your fellow medics are on strike. Doctors went on strike. Clinical officers joined them in solidarity. Doctors have various issues, that they've been raising. One of them, of course, is the posting of the intern doctors across the country, implementation of the CBA, which has that element of intern doctors, implementation of CBA in terms of salary arrears that have been running for years, implementation of CBA in terms of comprehensive medical cover, and other issues that they have been raising and saying, you know what, we have been having this conversation for a while. Clinical officers have joined them and said, our colleagues are raising serious matters. Nurses have been ping-ponging on this particular matter. You've come out of the Secretary General and said, we are not joining the strike. Why?
Number one is that you don't join a strike. You go on strike. And when you go on strike, you must have processed those issues that are making you go on strike according to the law. You cannot just wake up and say, we are joining someone else's strike. You remember in 2017, we were on strike as nurses for a period of 6 months. No one joined us. Why does somebody else think that when he's on strike, nurses should join him or her? We are a profession of our own, with our own minds, with our own leadership. As Panyako, I have no right to call any strike. National strike is called by the National Governing Council, which directs the National Executive Council to direct me to issue a strike notice. I'm only the mouthpiece of the nurses. Some people want to think, make the word thing that Panyako can wake up one day and say, we are going on strike. And I issued a letter, a circular to my branch officials, because the National Governing Council constitutes 3 officials from each branch, and we have about 52 branches. And I asked them, this is what we have done so far in terms of nurse internship. This is what we have done, the discussions that have taken place, and 2 about the employment in pensionable and permanent pensionable terms for the UHC nurses. This is what we have done. For the UHC nurses, the government has promised to employ them 1st June because their contract expires in May, June. For the interns, at that time, the government, the Ministry of Health was looking for 4.8 billion because they were short of 4.8 billion. And the treasurer had not responded. So we were yet to go for another meeting, a follow-up to see what the treasurer had approved. Before we went there, and then another issue that we are doing was about our CBA. You remember we have been on strike so many times about the collective bargaining agreement for nurses. Since 2013, we've never had the CBA. This time around, the government says, we want to give the nurses a CBA. We started negotiating last year. And last month, in February, not last month is March, in February, the government sponsored our officials to Naivasha for a whole week retreat. We sponsored our negotiator from the union for a whole week. We spent a lot of money to negotiate the CPA. It was completed. So what was left is to come and put in the legal minds, align things to align with the law, and then they take to SRC for the issue of things of an advice, then it comes back, and then we sign. So that process has been almost complete. In fact, the week the strike started is the week we'll have completed that process. So clearly speaking, if you ask me to go on strike, what reasons will I be going on strike to do? Number 2, I was the founder of Kenya University Student Organization. I was the first chairman. And my branch secretary for Kiambu, who was then a student at Moi University, Hilary Kibiriti, was my vice. And we fought for the payment of nurse interns in Kenya single-handedly, without a union, without anybody. It was a student organization. And it was approved in 2001. I graduated in that year. I never benefited. I went for internship. I was not paid. So it started in 2002 is when people started being paid. And we, at that time, later on, when the union came in place, we used to have problems of every time nurses, students interns go to Ministry of Health, they cause havoc, they fight, they break things. So some of them, even when they went for internship, and they were surcharged because of damage that happened to the ministry. Then we said, look here, it can't continue like this. What should we do? We said, now we are producing about 386 nurses at that time. Why can't we budget for 500? Then the government agreed and budgeted for 500. For many years, since around 2013 when the union came in place, there was a smooth transition from studentship to internship, and then you go look for a job. Then it reached a time the numbers surpassed 500. We again met the ministry and said, look, the numbers have gone above 500. What can we do? The ministry said, we have agreed to budget for 2,000 every year. We are producing very many, over 1,500 BSN nurses in Kenya. Remember, there were 300 and something. So they agreed again to budget for 2,000. It went smoothly up to the government that was in place. Unfortunately, when my government comes in place, I say my government because I'm part and parcel of that government. I can't run away. Even if they're making mistakes, I will tell them from within the systems. So when they come in place and there is problem with posting the interns, and we go for meetings and they say they're looking for 4.8 billion, then doctors go on strike, then they wake up and say, no, this is not a salary, it's a stipend. Now we are going to give you 50,000 from 100,000. Doctors, 70,000 from 200,000. You see, that kind of reduction in the payment. An intern is an employee. according to Labor Employment Act. So you cannot reduce a benefit that an employee is getting without even communicate with that employee the reasons why you're doing that. So as a union, we said, look here, the member, when I said that circular across the country, the feedback from the governing council was, you will not go on strike. We are not ready for the strike. We want you to continue engaging the government on the table, and issues of the internship where the circular has been given by SRC, we direct you to go to court. That's exactly what I did. We have gone to court as a union. We are challenging that circular. We want the court to declare it null and void. Because when you look at the laws even governing how a government policy comes in place, it was not followed. There was no public participation. Even members of parliament are not aware of those reductions. So from where I sit, we are playing our role the way it's supposed to be. No one knows strikes in this country better than I do.
Okay. So, I mean, you've talked about this extensively, and you said you don't join a strike because it's not like a party everybody's coming to join, right? But who asked the nurses union to join in the first place? Was there an official invitation, say, come join us in this as comrades? Who offered and said, join us?
That's the question you posed on me, and that is the question a few fellows who have been benefiting from industrial actions have been in the media. I've seen what newspaper writing, another busybody somewhere, saying that because I've refused to go on strike now, they are going to host Panyako. That busybody number one is not a member of this union. He where he works, I made him the president of the National Nurses Association of Kenya. He failed terribly. Nurses removed him in Mombasa. So he's bitter. Initially, we have been going on strike. This guy, the same guy, if we look at your archives, just scroll at search Obengo. You will see what he has been doing over years. When you are on strike, he goes and say the strike is insensitive. You can't wake up and call strikes. He rushes to the ministry, asks for money. He's given money. He wants to come and count and call off the strike. You remember the other time, my leadership had a serious fight with those cartels who are getting money from the ministry when you were on strike that lasted 6 months at Railways Club. It was live in all media houses, including the standard media, where the fellows had been given money, 300,000 to come and call off the strike. And we went and we chased them away and we took over that press conference. It became ours.
So has anyone invited you to join the strike?
No one can invite us to join a strike because the law does not allow to go for what we call a sympathetic strike.
I'm asking this question because there has been a response, and the response has been no. In order for a response to be elicited, there must have been a question or an invitation that was made. So if the answer in the public arena has been, no, we are not joining the strike, was there a request to join?
Of course, there has been public utterances made by the doctors. You remember in Mombasa, one of the branch officials of KMBDU came out clearly and said nurses have been wamewekwa kwa mfuko. Nurses have got problems and no one is explaining the problems. For example, if nurses in Mombasa, of course, have issued a strike notice for 21 days for Mombasa on the issues of promotions. If you tell me I want to issue a national strike because promotions, are we, as people have gone to school, do we understand the Constitution of Kenya? We have 48 plus employers in Kenya, in government, public sector. We have state corporations, there are specific employers, different employers. We have 47 county public service boards that are employers. Then we have the Ministry of Health in terms of health, of course, under the Public Service Commission. Now, when you go for a county like Kisumu, promoted 800 health workers the other day. They are now again, they have budgeted to promote another group in the next July. Now, when you tell me I issue a national strike notice or able to go on strike because people have not been promoted, do you think nurses in Kisumu will go on that strike? It will be yours. Because they will be telling you, look here, we have no problem. So with this kind of constitutional dispensation and the kind of the administration we have in this country, issues must be handled isolatively and according to the employer. Let me ask you the issue of medical allowance, of course, medical cover. Of course, there isn't any county government that is doing very well. Even the national government, even Kenyatta National Hospital. We have many problems that were brought up by this government than anything good. They are getting more money from Kenyans, but giving literally nothing, very little. In terms of, for example, medical cover, we used to have the National Health Insurance Fund, and the President Uhuru Kenyatta introduced what they used to call Edu Afya.
Yeah.
Edu Afya was was taking care of our high school children. When they fall sick, the government was covering them. Now, when this government came, it has removed Edu Afya. We used to have civil servants comprehensive medical scheme that was very good. When this government made the new act, it has removed it. Civil servants now, when they fall sick, they go to India. We have to fundraise. Now, you are saying you want to do universal health coverage, but you are not. If you want to improve, you first of all protect what you have, improve on it. But then they are saying they're destroying everything that has been there.
So you have grievances.
We have grievances, but you see, not all those grievances can be resolved through strikes. For example, Parliament is the one that has caused NSSF. No, National Social, now it's called National Social Health Insurance Fund, not to manage any pension scheme. And that's why Edu Afya was removed. That is why the comprehensive medical scheme for civil servants was removed. So that is the issue of Parliament. If a matter of law, even if you go to the street, you must go to Parliament to have that law changed. And that is why we urge workers in this country to ensure that they have many of their own elected to go to Parliament, so that some of these laws that are being made are not good can be corrected at the right time.
Let me go back to some issues that you've raised here. So you're saying at present, the National Union of Nurses is in negotiation with the government,
yes,
for a collective bargaining agreement. And in fact, you recently came out of a 1 week retreat between the government and the nurses to discuss this particular matter. What are the main issues that you're discussing in this new CBA? Does it include increased salary? Does it include interns and how much they get? Does it include medical cover?
Even we have a meeting today at 8. From me, I'm going straight to Afya House. And the two issues that I want them to address is now to give official communication that UHC nurses will be absorbed in June. I want that official communication. Number 2, we want to ask them to review the new circular that has been issued by SRC. And those are the two things we're doing. Then number 3, they are supposed to make a presentation to us of the CPA. Of course, I'm not supposed to be receiving the CPA. I'm supposed to receive at the level of the cabinet secretary and the PS. But because I'm there, I'll have the privilege to receive it officially. The law does not allow us to negotiate, to discuss in the media what is being negotiated before it is signed and registered in court. But we're definitely looking at everything. The schemes of service that we have, that we participated in forming it, places nurse interns at Job Group K. So when we discuss salaries, we expect that when they got Job Group K, that's the point of entry. But there is also a problem, which we must agree. In 2014, 2016, the government came up with what they were calling internship policy. And in that internship policy is when you remember they started now saying when you finish college, the government will give you some 1 year, some 3 months to go and work on internship, and then they'll pay you something small. In that internship policy, I have to admit that a mistake was made from our side, because all unions were there. The doctors' unions were there, the nurses' union was there, all the unions in Kenya, including the teachers, including everybody. You know when something is happening, somebody will lose and somebody will gain. When it came, you look at that, it's online, the internship policy. When you look at clause 9 that deals about payment, it says a stipend will be paid. They will have 15 days leave for those going for 1 year. They will have 5 days of compassionate leave, and they will have 30 days of paid sick leave. After that, they're not paid. That was put in that policy. Now, when the new CS comes in office, he says, all right, internship, where is the policy on internship? She's given that policy on internship. She doesn't know about the schemes of services because they're not there. She says, look here, what is a stipend? I can't decide what a stipend is. So she writes to SRC. Please tell me what this stipend is. How are we supposed to pay? SRC says, oh, yes. Now some other quota say, no, these people, they've been getting a lot of money. Let us now reduce. It is a stipend, it's not salary. Then it comes back with that circular without involving Kenyans, because our constitution protects everybody. Even you, seated here, you have the right to decide what you want that nurse to be paid in Kenya.
How much have you been getting paid before this SRC circular?
Nurse interns have been getting 105,500 shillings.
As a monthly stipend?
Yes.
Okay.
Now they have It has been brought to 50,000.
So from 105 to 50.
50,000.
And your complaint here is that the 50 has been done without public participation.
Exactly.
Was there public participation for the 100?
There was, because we participated as stakeholders in the making the schemes of service. We have been negotiating for our salaries for all these years. You remember we've been going on strikes? We come out with a return to work formula, improving our salary and giving us some allowances.
Okay.
That is what has, before the union came in, actually, the cross salary for a degree holder in Kenya was around my first salary when I was employed in Kenyatta, it was 31,000 shillings. It went to 37. I left when my salary was 60,000. That's in Kenyatta. And remember those years, Kenyatta was the highest paying. So in government, a degree holder was getting a cross of around 42,000. It is because of the activities of this union that salary has moved from where it was to 500,000. That is what all degree holders are earning when they join the service. Yeah.
Okay. So the 105 that you were earning previously, was it documented anywhere?
Yes.
And said that this is what the intern nurses are going to be getting per month?
It is in the schemes of service.
It's there?
Yes.
So why was the cabinet secretary not aware of this?
And in fact, the Public Service Commission made a communication, because the policy on internship says that the Public Service Commission shall make a communication from time to time on what that stipend shall be.
Okay.
So the Public Service Commission made a communication last year and said the stipend for the degree holders will remain at Job Group K.
Okay.
So that Job Group K is not taken as employment. It's a stipend. It's a 1-year contract for internship. And so the SRC is not supposed, legally and constitutionally, supposed to issue circulars directing the Ministry of Health to pay anything. It is supposed to advise the Public Service Commission, because the Public Service Commission is the one that has the mandate to issue circulars on what should be paid.
Okay. Just to be clear, are all graduate nurses on internship at present?
Not all of them.
Why?
We have those nurses who have upgraded. Maybe they had a certificate, they did a diploma, they did a higher diploma, and now they've done a degree. Those nurses don't go for 1-year internship because they already have enough practical experience. So they only look at few areas like 3-4 months where they go and perfect the skills on the practical, and then they continue their work. Because
and then they become licensed?
Yeah.
Okay.
They already have, that system works well. Just even in developed countries. Sometimes you can do a degree in 1 year. You ask how? It's because the prior learning is recognized. And that's what they're trying to organize in Kenya. Yeah.
So anyone who has zero experience and is graduating with a nursing degree is currently on internship.
Must go on internship.
Are they all currently on internship? Are there nurses who have not been posted?
We have those who have not been posted, but the letters are in the ministry. But you see, the letters have reduced their stipend from 500,000, 105,500 shillings to 50 shillings, 50,000 shillings. So the nurses are saying, no, we can't collect these letters. And the doctors on strike and the clinical officers on strike. But something surprising to you, clinical officers collected their letters. And they are working.
They've gone on internship.
That's why I told you, when changes happen, some people will gain, some will lose.
So what are you telling your nurses? Are you telling them to go collect their letters for 50,000 shillings?
We are going to have a meeting with the ministry today at 8 a.m. What will transpire in that ministry, the meeting for today, is what will inform me on what to advise them. But you see, even if the best thing is not to refuse to go for internship, because what you want is to get your license. Because even after 1 year, you paid that salary, that's time spent for 1 year. After that, you don't have a job. So if you continue staying outside and you're not getting experience, you're not getting license, right now, I'm telling you, several universities like Mount Kenya, University of Eastern Africa, Baraton, Masinde Muliro, the BSNs who are finishing school are all going to work in Germany. All of them. So these fellows, what they need to do, these are our young people, is to ensure they get that license, go look for the job, and they not look for jobs are looking for them outside this country.
So the encouragement is to go ahead and take
exactly
on offer
as we fight for them. So but we will not fight on the street. That I can say for free.
Let's take a break. 28 minutes to 8. Seth Panyako, Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Nurses, is our guest this morning. He's saying yes, even for intern nurses, the stipend has been reduced from 105,000 shillings to 50,000 shillings. But his advice to those young nurses is take that stipend, go ahead. We are not joining the strike. It's not him who's saying it. He says he's been instructed not to call a strike by the National Governing Council and the National Executive Council of the union. We'll continue this conversation shortly. Keep it here.
April, your kids deserve to enjoy non-stop laughter and entertainment for the holidays. The Salulu is to recharge your subscription and get upgraded to the next high bouquet on Star Times to enjoy a never-ending lineup of fun shows on our fantastic kids channel.
I'll take it from here. Sam, shoot the ball.
Join Teeny and Tiny as they teach wonderful lessons on Baby TV. Make new friends with the Roblox Rumble Gang. Join Inspector Gadget as he solves puzzles on Cartoon Channel. Save the world with Ben 10 on Boing TV or learn the wonders of science on the Da Vinci Channel. Recharge on your current bouquet and get upgraded to the next high bouquet for 1 month. Download Star Times on app for unlimited entertainment. Anytime, anywhere. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Coming, I go like, this is the driver. So
Habari njema, mchezo mpya wa kushinda hela umewasili. Tazama Utuzwe ni mchezo rahisi na njia haraka ya kushinda hela ukitumia simu yako. Kuwa mmoja wa mamia ya washindi kila siku. Jishindie kuanzia shilingi 20,000. Ni rahisi. Deposit kuanzia shilingi 20 hadi 99 kwenye paybill number 145656. Account number KTN. Shinda sasa hivi. Draws na washindi kila hour. Kumbuka, deposit kuanzia 20 bob hadi 99 bob kwa paybill number 145656. Account number KTN. Na unaweza kujishindia hadi 1,300.
This week on Manspective Africa.
I went into a sleep study test. So they put machines on me when I was sleeping. Then the results, when I went to the ENT doc, she told me, "You are lucky you are alive." Huh? Yes. They said, "Yeah, you have something called sleep apnea." Kids today, they think they know so much. It's a very difficult period for fatherhood because when you talk, they will tell you like, okay, this is your reasoning, but also this is my reasoning.
No, men, the way our brains work is so different. I'm seeing you looking at these young men and realizing you're about to make one of the biggest mistakes of your life.
Yes.
But instead of pointing out the problem, you already have the solution.
Yes.
But you're letting them tell you the solution that you already have.
So is your name really Ghost?
Don't I look like one?
Only on KTN Home.
Get inspired by Afrimax.
A continent bursting with creativity.
Meet artists, designers, and culture.
We are seeing the doctors are on strike, clinical officers are on strike, and there's been this agitation and push and pull whether nurses should join the strike. Seth says the nurses have not been approached by anybody to join a strike. And you don't join a strike, you go on strike.
Yes.
You do your own, essentially. Well, this is interesting because a section of some of those nurses are saying that, they have taken an issue with you. Peradventure, they would want to join the strike for whatever reason because they want some of their issues addressed. And they have said clearly, and they're accusing you of neglecting their interests, and they're also threatening to exit the union. And they're saying that they will form a mass exodus from the union if you don't resign. They've said that they're dissatisfied with the leadership of the union, accusing him of using your position to advance personal political interests. And they've accused you of refusing to conduct union elections over the last 10 years. And essentially that you are more interested in running for Member of Parliament. That's what they've said, and they've registered their dissatisfaction over some of these things.
I like the way the media make some people look prominent when they are nothing. When you look at that guy called Obengo, he has never been a member of this union. He's a guy when in 2012, when we went on strike looking for this union to be registered, when you go to your archives, because internet never forgets, you will find him saying the strike is insensitive, people should go back to work, Panyako and team should be arrested, and he instigated for nurses to be arrested in Nyeri. About 38 nurses when we were going on that strike. He has always wanted us to go on strike so that he runs to the government to counter us. When we are not going on strike, he says go on strike. So he wants to gain some popularity. I don't want to discuss him because it's an issue. I told you earlier that I met him, the president of the National Nursing Association of Kenya.
Discuss the issues.
Okay, so let's discuss
one of the
issues.
issues being raised here is that this union has not held elections
Yeah,
in 10 years.
first we must know who is talking about it. Are they members? I've told you Obengo is not a member.
Okay, so let's look at the issues.
That's
Elections
number
been
one.
held?
First, we must know who is talking.
Okay.
You must be a member. I cannot go to Uganda and tell Ugandan people you never elected Museveni. I'm not a Ugandan. I'm a Kenyan. I can only talk about the Kenyan government.
All right.
You must talk about a government where you are a citizen.
Okay.
So in this case, a union is an association of members who have joined voluntarily. This person speaking is not a member. He's even cheating the media that they are in a meeting somewhere, and he is alone. He has been elected. He is alone. Now let's come to the election. Again, that was a misquote for the nation people, for somebody, the nation media. I told that person there is no need for us to discuss the issues of election at the moment, because elections will come in 2026. That simple English cannot translate saying that you have not conducted election for the last 10 years. That's a stupid way of thinking.
When did you last
Elections happened in 2022. I was elected. Not 2022, 2021. Because it happens 1 year before the general election. Because every union must conduct election every 5 years. And if you have any conflict or you don't agree with the elections, under Section 34 of the Labor Relations Act, you move to court. And of course, he did not move to court because he's not a member. He did not contest. Those who had dispute went to court. The court dismissed those claims they took to court on the elections. And we were properly in office. You cannot be a leader of a union if you have not been elected after 5 years. That is the law. So for somebody to come and say somebody does not conduct elections the last 10 years, that is mediocre. That's mediocrity.
So the next election is 2026.
2026.
And you're currently
February,
in office.
to be very specific, on 26th. My time will expire.
Okay. For some of the issues that you've mentioned that have been brought before the ministry, those are also issues that have been raised here. You've talked about how there's agitation and activating some of those things. For the meeting that you'll have this morning later, there also is word that there's not been enough in terms of negotiation with the ministry, that there has not been rather visible engagement where it comes to the establishment or the following of the CBA, which you mentioned this morning.
I just want to say
what we want to do is to look at those issues and say, are they actually issues that have been on the negotiating table for some time, and who's responsible for pushing them?
I've told you that one of the reasons why nurses have been very clear they don't want a strike is for them to have their CBA. It's not that we don't have CPS in government. We have CPS. But the main CPA is the one that covers the main government. In this aspect, is the national government and the county government. A county like Bungoma, we finished a CPA about 2 years ago. Of course, SRC came with shenanigans, pushing out center, left, right. We are still in court. The court has said we go now and iron out a few things because, of course, 2 years things have changed. We are now redoing it so that it can be registered. Counties like Tharaka-Nithi, CPS have been completed. Makueni, Migori, so many counties have finished. But this has been our problem for the last very many years since the union was established. We have 3 CPS at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. The one for Kenyatta, I saw it published on one of the newspapers. I don't know whether it was National Standard. I don't know who did that. Because, that one is signed but not registered. Because they cannot also not publish until it's registered. But I saw the whole CPA in the newspaper. So when they saw that is when now they started talking now. They are saying now, what is this CPA? We can do better. How will you do better and you are not a leader of anything? How can a chicken say I'm going to negotiate for dogs? You are not a chick, you are not a dog, you have no powers. You can negotiate for dogs. So as nurses, we are nurses. If you're not the leader of the nurses, you cannot purport to want to negotiate for them. You must be a leader first. The only thing I can advise that one person who's purporting to be many is that let him join the union at Kenyatta National Hospital where he works. Let him join the branch leadership. Let him learn, but he has never learned. Let him learn. 2026, let him come and contest. If he beats me, I'll walk away. Simple like that. So I'm happy even to tell you as we are talking now, the ministry, I wrote them a letter and they have already said there is a letter they have produced on 2nd April 2024, where they're saying now all UHC now committed. Even the meeting for 8 is already over for me.
So
because
all
there's a
UHC
commitment
nurses will
here
be absorbed.
that UHC nurses will be absorbed.
When?
It is June. It's here. The letter is here. Maybe I'll send it to you. It is here. You can see. Second. So see the meeting now for 8 is just to confirm this letter. It's already done. So you are telling me I'm not working. Going on strike does not mean you're working. You must use your brain sometimes. You know, even we used to be told that the man who fights most in the classroom is the most stupid one. You know, you must sometimes be able to sit on the table, negotiate, and come. And if you see that negotiations are working out, why do I have to put the lives of Kenyans at risk when I know I can achieve these things on the table?
So tell us about the nurses. So the UHC nurses are going to be absorbed. Please explain what that means, so those who don't understand.
It means they are going to move from the contract they have been having, which we have been complaining, we have been saying that dubious contract, because under the Employment Act and the International Labour Organization Convention on fair labor practices, it requires that work of equal value should attract equal remuneration. Here you have employed somebody you are calling a contract person and you are paying 40,000, and an equivalent is earning over 100,000. This is somebody who has a family. He has rent to pay. He has transport. You can see even in the letter, the ministry, the government is expressing its pain that it can no longer allow these people to continue working on contract. It shows me that this government is caring. I'll send you that letter. If you read the strong words used in this letter, you'll agree with me that I have no reason to call strike. I've never seen government committing the way they've committed here.
Currently, who's paying them?
It's the national government.
So they're employees of the national government?
Yes.
Where are they posted?
County government, under the capacity building.
So they will be absorbed by the national government and still to be posted to the counties.
What will happen is that the national government has an option under the capacity building, because health is not a devolved function, as people say. It's a shared function.
Is it?
Yes, it's a shared function. The national government, shared means we have the national health facilities, still the national government, and policy. Then we have the aspect of capacity building, where the national government has the mandate to do capacity building, any county or all the counties where they feel there's a shortage. So they can decide to employ them and remain at the national government, or they employ them and transfer them to the county government with the resources. The problem has been transferring of health services to the county government without adequate resources. So if they are going to employ these nurses, these health workers, and they're going to go to the county government, the national government will place money on the budget and specifically tell them these health workers are coming, this is their budget, take them, and this is their money.
How many nurses are we talking about?
About 2,800.
2,800 nurses employed by the national government, deployed to county facilities.
Yes.
But they can be transferred at any moment by the national government.
No. They cannot be transferred, because once they have gone to a particular county government, the county government will be responsible for transferring them. They cannot move from one county government to another county government unless specific arrangements have been made. Because when we do that, we will go back to the old years, where you'll be employed today, you are taken to Garissa for 1 month, you make your plans, you go back to where you want, and Garissa does not have nurses. That thing has been resolved, and that is why we are now having equality in terms of public sector. We don't have some Garissa, Mandera, where we don't have health workers, and the other areas are overstaffed. Devolution has brought some good things for some people. Some procedures have been done in areas where they had never seen before independence. Like Mandera, they did their first cesarean section after devolution. If you go there and you say devolution is bad, those people will kill you, because they have seen the fruits of devolution. But there are very many challenges I'm talking today. As we are talking today, more than half of county governments have not paid salary for March. They have no money. I'm telling you, things are worse. And that's why I said, this government of mine is collecting more from Kenyans, but giving very little back to the Kenyans. If you can't even pay salaries alone, what services are you giving as a government?
You just said it understands.
No, I have from the letter in terms of the UHC. But if you employ them and you don't pay them, right now they are not being paid. The counties, more than half. I asked yesterday to get statistics or exactly how many have not paid. But I can mention a few. Kajiado has not paid. Kiambu has not paid.
For how many months?
For March. For March salary. Okay. But for statutory deduction, third-party deduction and loans, they have not paid for the last 6 months. The national government has not remitted money to public servant superannuation scheme for 6 months. You saw it. That means they are deducting your money, but you are not assured when you retire you'll have pension.
But for some reason, you seem to be convinced that then they will be able to sort out the issues concerning nurses.
You see, there are certain issues. I've told you not all the issues. I've been on strikes, and you know that. But we don't have to go on strike because somebody else has gone on strike. But that doesn't mean there are no issues. There are issues, but those issues are being resolved. For example, the issue of medical cover. It's something that it is specific to specific county governments. You cannot have a national strike on a medical cover thing, because this is a devolved government, unless we don't know unless we don't understand as health workers, because county government of Kiambu will not do the same thing like the county government of Mombasa. So how we handle Mombasa cannot be the way we will handle Kiambu. So you cannot have a national strike on something like medical cover. It must be individualized. And that individualized, if it happens that all the counties have issues, then you shall strike notice. Then all of them go strike at once. It's like, but called individually.
Are you negotiating 48 different CBAs when it comes to medical cover?
Yes. Not to cover the CBA. In fact, the agreement was that we finish the national CBA that we are finishing, then it will apply to all county government. The Council of Governors had agreed. But I've seen through this strike that's ongoing now, they are saying, no, now everybody negotiate with your own. That's why we had stopped negotiations that were going on individual county governments, because the ministry had said they have agreed with the COG that once we complete the CBA at national, it will be now domesticated to all 47 county governments. But now you heard the other day where Iguru saying, no, Governor Iguru saying, no, everybody should go and deal with your own doctors, deal with your own nurses, deal with your own health workers. It now goes back. It's extremely expensive for us to negotiate strike 48 plus CBS. It's not a joke, but that's our work. We'll do it.
What would you rather? You'd rather negotiate one.
We'd rather negotiate one, then we
If it is one uniform that says, in terms of medical cover, we shall have a comprehensive medical cover that has a certain number of elements, these basics, that can be one national policy, a national CBA, isn't it?
Remember, social protection is a national function.
Right.
It's not a devolved function. What are the components of social protection? One of them is health. Another one is like they call it pension. We call it pension or the stimped, like for the elderly kids, the 65 and above. Those are the forms of social protection: housing, water. So you cannot leave an aspect of social protection to devolved units. And that's why we are saying the dismantling of the National Health Insurance Fund and introduction of the National Social Health Insurance Fund, minus the right of that National Social Health Insurance Fund to manage medical schemes, has taken away the greatest aspect of universal health coverage. Now we, the providers of that services, are not getting it. We have gone back to the days of doing harambes to get money to pay for medical bills. And these are the kind of things. It cannot be doctors. It cannot be nurses. It must be all public servants coming together and saying it is time for us to fight for our right. We go out. We paralyze everywhere, including State House. But you cannot go alone as a nurse to fight for something that's cutting across public sector.
So then what you've just said would give credence to the belief, whether it is established by public or those who may have made an invitation to you to say, come and join us. Because the problems that you've mentioned right now and those that doctors have mentioned, clinical officers have mentioned, they're homogenous. You've just said now that then there is some kind of strength when there's a unified force to fight for the issues that are similar across board. So the question would be, is there a time when it is right for that coming together to happen? Or at a time when you realize that the problems that you all face, that everybody faces, are the same? You've just said coming together to fight for those things, which essentially would then make sense if an invitation then was said, come and join us, because we are fighting for the same things.
There can be no invitation inviting anyone to join a strike.
But you've just said...
There can be only a collective action where we come together. In fact, as such nationwide strike, addressing an issue that cuts across public sector, it must rob in KOTU, because we are a member of KOTU.
So let's change the wording a little bit then, all right?
Yes. Yes.
Nobody's saying, come and join the strike. if then it were to be that across board, let's have some kind of collective action whereby the things that we are insisting on, the things that we are saying, do this in order for us to deliver in terms of our job, a unified collective action across sector. Is that something then you are saying? Absolutely yes. We should all come together and fight for those things.
Of course, yes. Why are they not talking about Kudea? Kudea has got nurses, has got also clinical officers, it has other health workers. Why are they talking about nurses union? Why are they not talking about the teachers union? The issue of health cards across everybody. Why are they talking about nurses? Because they know we are powerful. And when we go on strike, we don't call anyone to join us. We go, we paralyze, we close hospitals, we put padlocks and we go away. And we don't call anyone to join us. We know how to fight our battles. So anyone, when you choose your battles, choose them carefully.
So as far as you're concerned right now, you are in good and talking terms with government.
True.
You're negotiating.
True.
Those negotiations are going on.
And the fruits you have seen fruits. There is already a commitment.
There's a letter that you've just read for us there that says that nurses are now going to be absorbed.
Not nurses, all the
UHC nurses are going to be absorbed.
No, not nurses. UHC health workers. All of them, about 8,000.
UHC health workers?
Yes, about 8,000.
Are going to be absorbed come June?
Yes.
Okay. What do you tell the doctors who are on strike?
First, I want to tell them going on strike is a right. It's covered in the Constitution of Kenya, Article 41. Every worker has the right to form, join, and participate in activities and programs of trade union and to go on strike. So they are rightfully exercising their constitutional right.
Okay.
And as they exercise their constitutional right, I cannot advise them on what to do because I am a general secretary of the Kenya Nurses Union. And all I want is to ask the government to make sure a solution is found. The doctors go back to our hospitals. Our people are suffering. Nurses cannot work alone. It will be a lie to tell that hospitals can run without doctors. That's a lie. Nurses cannot work alone, just the way doctors cannot work alone. So the faster we solve this issue of the doctors, the better. For us, we'll continue to negotiate with the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
The national government has come up with its offer. It has said, okay, so for graduate doctors who are seeking further studies here, you can go for your postgraduate studies, and we are committing to foot that. For salary arrears, we are committing to address that. For intern doctors, we are committing to we have the letters ready, only that we cannot pay you the 100 and 200 that you want. We'll pay you, how much is it that they're offering? 70,000. The president has said twice now in a row, we must live within our means. Hakuna pesa, hakuna pesa, hakuna pesa.
Unajua, I've told you, tuko kwa meza. Na I would say much. We have already made some ground on that aspect. There is an agreement within government quarters that that money is little. And there is a feeling that you had the CSA yesterday. She was very catchy in her words, but she was very clear. She said, you go, we continue discussing this money if we can get more. What is that? If a government official doesn't just speak, there is something cooking somewhere. We are saying, okay, look here, if that's what you say, as a union, we want to negotiate for people. Let this 50,000 be the one someone is taking home. Now, load in all the taxes. Let it go to 80 or whatever it is. But when you cut, let this person go home with 50,000. Because if you tax 50,000, what are you going to go home with? How will you pay rent? You know, you are working. I can tell you for free, interns run our hospitals. If you go to any hospital, even Kenyatta National Hospital, if you go there, especially at night, the guys you'll get are intern doctors. At night. I know. I'm a health worker. I worked with doctors. I know what happens there.
Yeah.
So we cannot wish these interns away. They are students, but they do the back. You remember Sakaja? Before they went on strike, he said, give me doctors. I want a place for the internship. Why was he saying that? Because there's a shortage. He wants to cover that shortage using the interns, which means that the people working, if they're not there, there's a serious shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to nurses, Seth Panyako, the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Nurses, is prepared to see a drop from the 105 stipend for intern nurses to 50 net for intern nurses.
I'm saying when you are negotiating, the government has already said this is what we're giving. We have gone to court to have that circular cancelled If the circular is cancelled, there will be no negotiations. But you remember, I don't know how to discuss matters which are in court. Don't know how to say how the court will rule the other way or the other way. But if it comes in our favor, there will be no negotiations because court orders must be.
What are you prepared to take? That's the question is, are you prepared to take the 50,000 shilling?
I cannot discuss what we are going to sit down and discuss.
What are you prepared to take, Seth? I'm not asking what you're going to discuss.
I've told you in a negotiation, that is what we call give. You don't go say, no, you see, it is 105. Some people are getting 105. You went there, you say, no. You went there and said you are putting a steambed in the internship policy. And that's how we messed up. I can tell you for free, we messed up.
Seth
It should have been a stipend, pegged at job group K for nurses, L for doctors. There will be no these problems. But now when you open, you give the government an open check. Now the government wakes up and say, even they can come next year and say a stipend is 20,000 shillings. Because there's nothing. The policy
flow.
does not state clearly where is the entry point.
Seth Panyako, Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Nurses, has been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations. Good morning. It's